Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, October 3rd, 2017 regular meeting of the City Council. The meeting will now come to order. Tonight's invocation will be given by Pastor Samuel Martinez from Christian Faith Church, and then that will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilman Lloyd Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. Heavenly Father, as we gather here this evening, we remember the words of the psalmist of old. I will lift up my eyes unto the hills from whence comes my help. My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. And Father, we look to you for your help and assistance. In comforting, Father, all those that have suffered loss in Las Vegas, Father, we ask that you comfort the families, the loved ones, that you comfort the first responders, Father, and that from the ashes, as you said in your word in the book of Isaiah, that you bring forth beauty from the ashes. Comfort, Heavenly Father, and bring restoration. And we pray for restoration in Texas and in Florida, Father, in Puerto Rico, and in the areas devastated in Mexico. And Heavenly Father, as we gather here, it seems somewhat insignificant that we get together here to go over the affairs of our city amidst all the calamity that's happening around us, but we know that for you, nothing is insignificant. And so we ask you to give wisdom to our mayor, our city council, our city manager, our chief of police, and we ask that you give wisdom to everyone, Father, that is in leadership in the city. And we ask you to give us wisdom, insight, all of us, citizens of our blessed city. Give us wisdom in managing the affairs of the city. Father, we thank you for America. We thank you for our freedoms. God bless America, and God bless our city of West Covina. In Jesus' name, amen.
Madam Assistant City Clerk, will you please call the roll of the council?
Councilman Johnson?
Here.
Councilmember Toma?
Here.
Councilman Wu?
Yep.
Mayor Pro Tem Spence?
Here.
Mayor Warshaw?
Here. Madam City Attorney, are there any items to report from closed session?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was no action taken in closed session this evening.
Thank you very much. And Mr. City Manager, are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are no changes to tonight's agenda.
And thank you. And with that, we will move on to our presentations. So our first presentation tonight is by the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority on the homeless count. I'd like to call forward Daniela Alcedo from the LA Homeless Service Authority.
How are you? Good, thank you. Do I use this one? Okay, yes. Hi, hello, good evening, everybody. Oh, this one. Oh. Alcedo. I am the regional coordinator for the San Gabriel Valley region at the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority, and this presentation is our findings from the 2017 homeless count. First, I wanted to give a big thank you for the city for participating in the homeless count, offering a space and security and support in the homeless count. We had it at Cameron Park, and we had it on the 24th of January. I also want to thank our other partners at the county, the sheriff's departments, and the University of Southern California for analyzing our data. So why do we count? We want to count to see how many people are experiencing homelessness on any given night, and it allows us to see a snapshot of what are the numbers of people experiencing homelessness. It also allows us to get demographic information and distribution around the county. So we count the last 3 days, or we count the last 10 days of January, and from, so for San Gabriel Valley, we counted on the 24th of January, which is a Tuesday. And then we had our separate youth count, which we had on the 31st of January. When we count both unsheltered and sheltered people, and by unsheltered, we mean people who are residing in a place that's not designed for human habitat. And we count all over the county. We count even the forest, down to the beaches. There are 3 different cities that are part of the continuum of care, and those are Pasadena, Glendale, and Long Beach. They file for HUD funding separately, but we still work with them to do the count around the same days. And when we count, and when we do our shelter count, we are able to survey everybody, as many people as we can in the in the shelter, and then when it comes to unsheltered, we take sample sizes of people to get demographic information. And then this year we had a couple of enhancements in that we were able to have more sensitive response card and better partnerships with the LA County Parks, and Metro were ways that we're able to enhance our findings. So here are the findings for the San Gabriel Valley region. So first, LA County, we saw a 23% increase of those experiencing homelessness to over 57,000 individuals on any given night, with the majority of those being unsheltered, so it's more visible. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm clicking it wrong. So here's a picture of all of LA County. We are the San Gabriel Valley region, and also known as SPA 3. And so in our region, we saw a 31% increase, and this number includes the city of Pasadena. And so we count all of these census tracts within San Gabriel Valley. And excluding the numbers of Pasadena, we saw a 36% increase of people experiencing homelessness, with over 3,000 people out on the streets in San Gabriel Valley. We also saw an increase in cars and vans, about over 50% increase, and so that was a 47% increase from 2016. And this is a heat map to show where most of the increases are, and so most of it you can see falls along the San Gabriel riverbed. Oh, there we go. For those in the age group, we saw an increase overall in all age groups, but the most we saw was those that are between the ages of 25 and 54. With race and ethnicity, we also saw an increase in the Hispanic and African American population, and this is also reflected all around the county as well. So most regions in the county also saw an increase in both those ethnicities. And then we saw an increase of 17% of females and 46% of males experiencing homelessness in San Gabriel Valley. So this slide's a little interesting in that it was able to show that there was a decrease of substance use abuse from 2016 to 2017, but we did see a 12% increase of serious mental illness during this year of findings. So there was over 1,000 people that are chronically homeless in San Gabriel Valley, and most of that population is unsheltered. And by chronically, it means somebody that has a disabling condition or has experienced homelessness for more than 1 year or has had various episodes of homelessness. And so most of that population is unsheltered. And then we also saw an increase of 50% increase of veterans experiencing homelessness. For families, we also saw a 38% increase, but we're able to see more families in sheltered than unsheltered. So that was one of the benefits, is that sheltered, there are more families in shelters or experiencing some sort of shelter program. And the same as for youth, although there was a 17% increase, most of the youth population are also in some sort of transitional or some sort of shelter sort of program. So many people like to think that individuals come outside of LA County that are experiencing homelessness, but our data finds that actually 57% of those experiencing homelessness have lived in LA County for over 20 years. And before they became homeless, most of them also lived in LA County and just also lived or in another part of Southern California. And in LA County, over 8,000 people are experiencing homelessness for the first time, so from 2016 to 2017. So for West Covina, the numbers that we found on the night of the 24th, we found a total population of 158 on that one night. And then there's more breakdown of the numbers of the shelter, of how many were in tents, how many were in makeshift shelters, or in RVs. And then from 2016, that number was 48. So from 2016, you had a number 48 to 158 in 2017. And this information is available as well online, all our data, everything that we collect. There's even more research available that's available on our LAHSA website. So it's lahsa.org, and we have a homeless count tab, and we're always continuously releasing data as well, so we always update it. So just a few more slides. This is more of a comparison heat map. So those that are in darker color show that that's where an increase was seen in 2017. Some of the reasons that lead to homelessness is that this is a very tight burden region of Southern California. Over 2 million residents are cost burdened with not able to pay for their household. And for those who are extremely low income or on the verge of being homeless, we would need about over 500,000 more affordable units to house those individuals before they fall into homelessness. But there is Measure H, and I know that's in effect now, and I know a lot of cities have been participating on it, so that's some sort of relief that we're looking to get through Measure H. And so we're looking to count again on Tuesday, January 23rd, and I'm looking forward to working with the city on that participation in counting in 2018. That's the presentation.
Great. Do any of you have any questions for Danielle? Go ahead.
I just want to clarify something, because my understanding of the survey and something that you said, but you know, when you talked like the health conditions, those are self-identified, right? I mean, you ask the homeless person, right? Are you mentally ill?
Right, yeah, we don't.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just ask them, and whatever they give us.
And that's the same with all the demographic information.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, you said that USC, that you did sampling of the demographics?
We do
so I'm trying to figure out how that fits in.
sample sizes, so we
Okay.
look where there's a higher concentration. So we don't survey everybody in San Gabriel Valley, we just pick samples.
Okay.
And just because it's such a large area, resource-wise, we can't, and such a time limit as well, so the best strategy that our methodology uses is getting sample sizes, and sample sizes that are really heavily concentrated. So most of like the riverbeds or the Santa Fe Dam, areas where there's more of or areas that you feel are more of a higher concentration.
Okay, so the demographics are really the demographics of where the high concentrations
Yeah,
are,
and
right?
before we do that too, we do a lot of pre-planning before. So we do like a hotspot planning session in October where we invite outreach workers or police or anybody that has worked with homeless individuals, and we ask them to give us information on where they've seen numbers, so that way we can use that for our demographic survey. So we do that process every October through November, and try to get that input from the cities or whoever outreach workers that work in San Gabriel Valley.
And how do you test the reliability of the data that's self-reported? Has that ever been done, that it's been tested to find out that, you know, they generally, homeless people are generally very accurate when they give information to someone that approaches them about their health status and their demographics and stuff?
When we take the survey, after we're done, we, as the survey taker, are able to assess whether we feel like that person was being honest or not. And so that will then
And so
determine.
that's how you do it?
Yeah, so we can say like, oh, I don't think this person was being, truthful in their answers, or yes, they were. So there's that opportunity to give the.
And veterans
more
are self-identified too, right?
I'm sorry?
The veterans are self-identified too?
Yes. But those you could always kind of tell just for mannerisms that
Well,
they're a
sometimes.
veteran.
Sometimes, yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes. But not always, but sometimes. Okay. Thank you.
Are there any? I want to thank Daniela for that, and also I would like to get as many people out this coming January to help with the homeless count. This last year, we didn't actually get to all of the sections. We were a little short in the way of people. I know that most of the council was there, most of the planning commission was there, and other commissioners throughout the city. But it really takes the citizens of West Covina to help on that night to get out and get a real homeless count and make sure that we're getting the funding that we need to help the homeless. So if you're available, please come out in January, and we'll be talking more about that. Someone had a question? Sure, go ahead. You can bring them along with you, though, when you're doing the count.
Mayor, can you repeat the question for the viewing audience at home?
Yes, the question was asked is how old do you have to be to help with the count? Okay, our next proclamation is for National Fire Prevention Week, which is coming up October 8th through the 14th of this month. And so with that, I would like to call forward our fire chief, Chief Larry Whithorn. Fire Prevention Week commemorates actually the Great Chicago Fire of October 8th, 1871. That two-day blaze killed more than 250 people and left more than 100,000 people homeless, and it destroyed more than 17,400 structures and burned more than 2,000 acres. That tragedy inspired reform across America, spurring new fire safety codes and public awareness campaigns. So each October, the National Fire Prevention Association serves as the official sponsor of a nationwide prevention campaign to highlight the importance of fire safety education. This year's Fire Prevention Week campaign is called Every Second Counts, Plan 2 Ways Out. With that, I'd like to turn that over to our chief to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's consider this scenario. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, you and your family are fast asleep, and when you're awakened by the sounds of a smoke alarm and a smell of smoke, what do? If you and your family don't have a plan in place, it could jeopardize your safety or even prove deadly. In a typical house fire, you have about as little as 1 to 2 minutes to escape safely from the time a smoke alarm sounds. That's why home escape planning is so critical in a fire situation. It ensures that everyone in the household knows how to use the small window of time wisely. In support of Fire Prevention Week, the West Covina Fire Department encourages all West Covina households to develop a plan together, practice it. A home escape plan includes working smoke fire alarms in every level of your home, in every bedroom, and near all sleeping areas. It also includes 2 ways out, usually a door and a window, with a clear path to an outside meeting place. The West Covina Fire Department also offers these additional tips and recommendations for developing and practicing a home escape plan. Practice your home fire drill twice a year. Practice it once during the night and practice it once during the day with everyone in your home, and practice using different ways out. Teach your children how to escape on their own in case you can't help them. Make sure the number on your home, which is the address, is clearly marked and easy for the fire department to find. Close doors behind you as you leave, as this may slow the spread of smoke, heat, and fire. And once you get outside, stay outside. Never go back inside a burning building. To learn more about this year's Fire Prevention Week campaign, Every Second Counts, Plan 2 Ways Out, and a home escape plan, visit firepreventionweek.org or pick up any informational packet at any one of our 5 fire stations or at Fire Administration here at City Hall or just outside our council chambers there in a table. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And since I have such a great turnout of a lot of our firefighters, I'd like them to also come up here so that I can present this proclamation to all of them along with our fire chief. Don't hide. You guys aren't bashful. So what I'm going to do, since all of you might not know who all of our firefighters are, I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves, starting to my right.
Hello, Brian Hauser.
Jim Rudruff, 34 years of service.
Terry Paredes.
Todd Smith.
Brent Meyer.
Chris Davis.
Matt Jackson.
Kevin Bland.
Esteban Rodriguez.
Sean Wise.
Terrence Poindexter.
Peter Aguilar.
Kyle Busby.
Daniel Saldivar.
Edgar Vela.
Joe Justice.
Thank you all for all your service and what you do for the city of West Covina. And with that, I'm not going to read this entire proclamation because there's probably about 12 whereases. But what I will say is that, therefore, it is resolved that I, Corey Warshaw, Mayor of West Covina, do hereby proclaim October 8th through the 14th of 2017 as Fire Prevention Week throughout this community. I urge all of the people of West Covina to develop a home fire escape plan with all the members of their household and practice it at least twice a year, and to participate in as many public safety activities and efforts of the West Covina Fire and Emergency Services during Fire Prevention Week this October. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Oh, hang on, guys. We want to get a picture. Want to get a picture. Come on back. So I have one more proclamation, and that's proclaiming International Walk to School Day. And for that, I would like to call forward Roland Avenue Elementary School Student Council and Principal Paige Christensen, and also our Fire Chief Richard Bell. Police Chief, excuse me. How are you? Hi. So International Walk to School Day is a global event that involves communities from more than 40 countries walking to school on the same day. It began back in 1997 as a one-day event. Today, thousands of schools across America participate every October. In 2016, 708 schools participated in California, and 146 of those schools were in the Los Angeles County. International Walk to School gives children, parents, school teachers, and community leaders an opportunity to be part of the global event as they celebrate the many benefits of walking. Tonight, we present this proclamation to the students of Roland Elementary School who will participate tomorrow, Wednesday, October 4th, in the event for the third year. And would you like them to introduce themselves, or would you like to? So if you'll give your name and what grade you're in.
Hello, my name is Isabella Garcia in 5th grade.
Ian Garcia in 5th grade.
Gianna Herrera in 5th grade. Megan Sollenbach in 5th grade.
Jaleesa Tucci in 5th grade.
So the reason why I've called the chief up here is that the police department will also be accompanying the students tomorrow morning as they participate in the active transportation plan, which encourages alternative modes of transportation such as biking and walking. The city is currently working on a master plan to identify issues and prioritize improvements to make West Covina a safer community for walking and bicycling. This team will also have a booth at the upcoming West Covina Pumpkin Run on Saturday, October 14th. And I hope all of you will be out there and walk or run in that. For those that would like to learn more or attend the next Active Transportation Plan workshop, please visit westcovina.org/activewestcovina for more information. And Chief, would you like to say a few words?
Just like to say thank you for allowing me to speak. Our officers will be out tomorrow, and I just want to encourage all the students to ask them 100 questions apiece. But this is important because it's about safety. As you know, around the country, I think accidents are up, at least they're on the rise. And we certainly want our kids to be safe as they walk to and from school. And this is a great opportunity for our police officers to get out, walk with the kids, and answer their questions and show them the proper way to cross the street, where to cross the street at, and just give them that information as to how they can be as safe as possible. So with that being said, I do have this really cool badge, and basically what I'll be doing is I'll be deputizing you guys tonight, but I'm just going to tell you, but when I deputize you, it comes with a cost. So you have to do exactly what your parents tell you to do tonight. All right?
And if I can get you all in here so that we can get a picture, and I'm going to hand you that. Great. Yes. Did you want to say a few words?
Yes.
Say a few words.
Well, here, why don't we do the...
have our superintendent, Dr. Sheehan, here. Would you like to say a few words?
No, we just want to thank West Covina, especially West Covina PD. Appreciate your support in the International Walk to School Day. We look forward to getting more schools involved in the future. So thank you. Appreciate the partnership.
Thank you. Okay. And now I'm going to move forward with adjournment motions. Tonight, I would like to adjourn our City Council meeting in honor of the 59 victims of the recent Route 91 Music Festival shooting in Las Vegas. This shooting has touched the lives of many in our West Covina family, as they directly knew friends, relatives, and colleagues that were in the audience at the festival that night. We have lowered the flag to half staff at all of our city facilities to honor those victims. Our hearts break for all staff at our hearts break for all those directly impacted by this horrific tragedy. At this time of mourning, we also want to thank all of the brave first responders, medical professionals, and everyone else, the average citizen, that risked their lives to save the lives of others. At this point, I would also like to ask the council if they have any additional adjournment motions for tonight's meetings. Mayor Pro Tem Spence.
Yes. This morning, the West Covina Fire Department responded to a call at Vine Elementary School. And I hate to report, but Brian Jones, who graduated from Edgewood High School in 1988, that was the last class of Trojans. He was a teacher in West Covina Unified and a teacher at Vine School, and unfortunately he passed away of a heart attack, and he'll be missed. Those of you that knew his family, his mom Sandy's going to be in town tomorrow to try to make arrangements, but Brian was basically just one of the good guys. And anyways, I'd like to adjourn in his memory as well.
Thank you. Are there Madam Assistant City Clerk, please make these adjournment motions at the end of the meeting. Thank you. We'll now move on to oral communications. Anyone wishing to speak is asked to complete a yellow speaker card, which is available at the front entrance of the council chambers, and submit them to the Assistant City Clerk. When stepping up to the podium, please speak directly into the microphone and state your name and city of residence. You will have 5 minutes to address the council. Alternatively, if you prefer to submit an agenda item position slip instead of speaking on a particular item, you may submit an orange agenda slip to the Assistant City Clerk. Your name and position on the agenda item will be read into the record, and you do not need to be present during public comment. If you complete this slip, it does not forfeit your right to speak to the council at this meeting. If you change your mind and wish to speak to the council about the item, please approach the Assistant City Clerk's table and complete a speaker request slip, the yellow one. Tonight's first speaker will be Shirley Buchanan. And Shirley will be followed by Cirillo Castaneda.
Good evening, Mayor Warshaw and members of the council. I thought that I was just going to speak personally on 5, not just get up now, but if that's what you want me to do, okay. I'd like a little clarification. I'm speaking about item number 5 on the agenda. Just a little bit of clarification on the expenditure. This $183,029.81 to replace the existing data network infrastructure. Is this amount just for 2017-18 budget, or will you be coming back to the council for approval for additional funds for 2018-19 and 19-20? Also, for most of you men understand some of the lingo in this background description, but if someone from the staff could just kind of clarify it a little bit as to what these network switches do. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Cirillo Castaneda, followed by Maria Thorpe.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Cirillo Castaneda, and I'm a resident of West Covina. I think the representative from LASA left, and I just wanted to touch base that it was so good to see her out here discussing the homeless count. I work for a nonprofit, and my division that I work for deals directly with homeless veterans. So it's good to see the city tackling this pressing issue. As you can see, the numbers continue to go up. That dovetails into what I really came here for tonight, and that is support for our local firefighters. In light of recent events, I don't have to go over them again. Everyone has been watching the news. It's imperative that we support our local firefighters and our first responders, including the police department. After 20 years as a Navy corpsman with deployments under my belt, I firmly believe that an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. And without supporting our firefighters and keeping their numbers up, the city of West Covina can only look to, lower response times and being stretched too thin. I've been through Iraq as well as Kuwait, and I've seen what op-tempo can do to an already stretched too thin department, be it a ship, be it a battalion, be it a platoon. Doing more with less is a short-term goal. What needs to be focused on is a long-term goal. And with that, I would just like to say that I stand with 3226 and the city firefighters of West Covina. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Maria Thorpe, and Maria will be followed by Forrest Williams. Forrest Wilkins, excuse me.
Good evening, members of the City Council of West Covina, Mayor Pro Tem, administrators and staff, and members of our community. I'm here today in support of our firefighters. I'm very concerned about what's happening in our city with respect to the firefighters, being that we didn't get a grant that should have provided us with more service and more firefighters. I think it's very important. My husband's life was prolonged because of their service. and I appreciate them. My husband passed last year, but whenever I called 911, they were there. And I think because of a lot of incompetence, our firefighters are suffering, which means that we will suffer more. I think that we need to consider them. We have to give them compassion. We have to give them support. That's what they gave my husband, dignity. And I think it's very important that our fire chief resign, or I myself call for for your vote to remove him from office. We cannot afford incompetence. We have to work as a whole unit, our community, our council, our first responders. We're living in a time and day that's very difficult. And if all of us don't support our first responders, we're in bad shape. You yourselves live in this city. You know what it means to survive when something happens. I think we need to hire more police officers. We have to hire more firefighters. We are short-staffed. In a true emergency, we'll all be in a lot of trouble. And our community's a good one. We'd be willing to support them on the streets, help our community members. But they're well-trained, and we need them to be happy in their jobs. We can't afford litigation. I don't want my taxes to go to litigation. I'd rather hire more firefighters. And it's really important that you consider them. Going into any form of litigation is costly, and it's a waste of money. I don't want my taxes to be spent that way. And I really hope that you take them under consideration and do what's right by them and by our community, because we need them. Thank you very much.
Good evening, City Council. Someone passed the word to me that this was Casual Tuesday. I am Forrest Wilkins. My wife, Leanne, and I have lived in West Covina for over 44 years. One thing for Councilman Wu. I know you can't respond, but maybe you could shrug your shoulders. What did the fish say when it hit the wall? Damn. Come on, that's funny. I listed on my card as homeless. I want to speak about that. I will make a comment about the previous two speakers. The tail doesn't wag the dog. The other thing that I read in the paper, something about 100% of the firefighters in this last year, we've heard a lot about collusion. In my life experiences, I've never seen an organization where there's been 100% that agreed on something. Anyway, I'll just leave that. You know, we as a community here in West Covina, surrounding Southern California, we are a giving community. Homelessness. I had an opportunity to find out about the homeless situation behind the 7-Eleven on Azusa Avenue at Workman. Ultimately, I did have a conversation with Lieutenant Allen about that. Anyway, ultimately it was addressed, and it's been relieved quite a bit as far as the homelessness. But I've had conversations with 3 lieutenants in the last several months. I could give date and times if that's necessary, but I don't think it is necessary. But one thing in that conversation that comes out is homelessness have their rights. Well, I'm sorry, but we citizens of West Covina have our rights. What rights does a homeless person come around and leave a needle someplace so hepatitis can be spread? Or our school children going to school, they see a homeless person pushing a cart and so forth. So our society is telling those school children that's an acceptable way of life, I'm sorry. That is not an acceptable way of life. We have county, state, federal programs to address that. If you take a drive through South Pasadena, San Marino, Beverly Hills, do you think you'll see very many homeless around? Why not? Because they don't put up with it. They let them know where there's services available for them. We have a hospital here. We have a free clinic here, you know. The church down there on Vincent, I understand they're not going to be providing meals this next season, and the reason because the homeless came and they burglarized the residents around there and so forth. That's a problem. We have the opportunity to offer them services and educate them. Now, there's a certain percentage of the homelessness are mentally challenged. There's a certain percentage of them that are alcoholics, drug addicts. There's a certain percentage that just don't want to do nothing. They want a handout. No matter what you provided for them, they'd want more. As a society, what are we teaching them? We're going to let them teach us and live in our community? I ask you, gentlemen, what would you do if a homelessness person came in here and sat down in our chairs here? They hadn't bathed in months. They've defecated in their clothing. Would we put up with that? Those people are around. Why do we have to accept that in our community? We can direct them, we can help them, and give them places where they can go. But we don't have to put up with it. I think it's time that we should address that issue. It's not going to get any better unless we as a community do something about it. Now, I think most of you councilmen here know that I work in LA in the movie industry. If you take the San Bernardino Freeway, you get off there at Alameda, and you continue to go along Arcadia there, runs parallel to the freeway, homelessness people have their tents blocking the sidewalk. Homeless people in wheelchairs can't even go down the sidewalk, and they have to go out in the gutter. Possibility of getting hit by a car. But with the new chief of police, I wasn't here when it was announced. Mark Taylor said that he recognized homelessness was a issue. Oh, I'm out of time already? I shouldn't have shared that joke with Councilman Wu, huh? Anyway, please consider the police department should form a task force to see how they can address it, and they can do it. Thank you.
I'm sorry, we don't allow clapping or any noise during the council meeting because it disrupts the council. So if you'll please refrain from that, I would appreciate it. After Lisa Mayo will be Frederick Sykes.
My name is Lisa Mayo. I'm the city of West Covina for going on 38 years. So hello, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, councilmen, staff, and my fellow peeps, right, from West Covina. I am here to support the fire department, the number 3266, I believe. I remember when my husband had his stroke, and he had it at South Hills Country Club, and they were there, and they saved his life. I get to hear the fire sirens, the fire department, as they go to help somebody else. I cannot tell you how many times they have come to my house to help me with my grandchild when he got his hand stuck in the door or something and I didn't know what to do with. So what did? I called the fire department, or I called 911 and they sent the fire department. My dog, I cannot, by the way, thank you so very much. The many times my dog got stuck and I had to call 911 because I didn't know what to do. So I want to thank them personally for all the work they do, because they put their lives in danger. And besides just talking about me and my family, we have to remember also that there is the park across the street. There's all of that little Target and all of that where people could be in danger. There could be so many things that we would need the fire department, not just for my little area of my home, but also for the baseball team and the parks that are around there. There is so much need for them. So I just want to thank them, and I want to make sure that we do our best in our community to keep on supporting our fire department as well as our police department. So I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Fred Sykes, and Fred will be followed by William Elliott.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, city staff, members of the audience. I am Frederick Sykes, 39-year resident of West Covina, retired deputy sheriff, former mayor of West Covina, and currently I'm a member of the West Covina Oversight Board. First of all, to the City Council, thank you for not selling the open green space at Morgan Field Avenue and in Valley Boulevard. Mr. City Manager, I'm hoping that you can give me an answer as to why the city website was down and offline for such an extended time this weekend. Next, I'd like to address my community. The housing developments south of Francisquito were approved by the city of West Covina. And now we have Edison, telecommunication companies, and other utilities defacing our community and devaluing our property in clear violation of the master plan and our municipal codes. I am very upset when I see how I and my neighbors have purchased our homes in a community where subterranean utilities are an integral part of the infrastructure, and now utilities are being installed above ground. A clear example is when you go to the northeast corner of Gemini Street and Giano Avenue. There's a graffiti attracting ugly green box. This ugly community defacing box is in place because Edison is powerful enough to be above our master plan, our municipal codes, and the California Public Utilities Commission. Over 40 years ago, our subterranean utilities were installed, and now in 2017, Edison is indicating that it is no longer capable of proper maintenance and the replacement of our underground vaults. You know, that's absolutely ridiculous. I ask you to please stop supporting this type of attack on our community. Please protect the interests of the taxpayers. Our city, when it comes to our general fund, our city has 75% to 80% of its general fund dedicated to a single purpose, which is indicative that our city is not financially healthy. Another indicator of our poor health and our financial status is that we see a lot of unaddressed, we see no preemptive action on some of this drag racing situations that I see on Cameron, in particular between Lark Ellen and Azusa. And there are also other main streets where there's quite a bit of drag racing going on. And not to mention not yielding for stop signs. We also have people that are smoking marijuana and involved in loud and boisterous parties at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. in our city parks on weekdays. All you gotta do is look at the Nextdoor app, and you'll see some of those postings about my fellow residents who are not able to sleep because of this kind of disturbances. One thing is certain. Excuse me, the taxpayers of West Covina cannot afford court cases that cost millions. The growing numbers of city employees that are making over $200,000 a year, any type of waste and opulent spending. And in recognition of the poor financial state of our city, the additional sister city program is not what we can afford. Instead, we should be focused on public and school safety, streets that are all clean and smooth, parks, green spaces, sewers, city buildings maintained and are replaced as needed, and etc. And I'm going to close on the establishing of voting districts. The city needs to comply with the CVRA. We should avoid gerrymandering and drawing squiggly lines that place communities without common interests into the same voting district. For the public digest regarding the final districts, the West Covina voting districts map and that the City Council approves, can we please have the current demographics, current voter registration, and 2015 and 2016 voter turnout information? To be very clear, the requested demographics and voter turnout information should be published with the final map that the City Council approves. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is William Elliott, and William will be followed by Wen Zhang.
Good evening, City Council. I just want to hammer through a bunch of random thoughts here. The West Covina app, the graffiti app, it's not working. My wife uses it all the time. It's not working. It's just gridlocked. I don't know about the website, but the same teenager that we could have hired to find Mark Taylor for us, he could probably handle that app better than anybody on the city staff, even though we're spending a lot of money on our staff. This microphone, how many times have I brought this up? The sound system sucks in this building. You know, I don't know if you guys have done an improvement to it, but if you have, it's not working. And nobody in this room has a problem hearing me. But I struggle over there in the corner to hear every single speaker. The first lady that spoke, it's Charlie Brown's teacher. You can't hear anything. I wish you guys would solve this problem. It is a violation of the American with Disabilities Act. And speaking as someone from a deaf family and someone who has a hearing loss himself, you guys got to get off whatever it is you're on and get this sound system fixed. This sound should be booming in this chamber, and it's not. I spoke too long on that. The parking near my house, Merced Elementary School, they host a soccer league there that is of epic proportions. It's like a Tijuana wedding in my neighborhood every time that league meets. It's like Cinco de Mayo. It is cars lining the streets all the way around every corner. I have to go out into the lane of traffic on Merced, all the way into the lane of traffic, just to see if somebody's coming. And if somebody is, I have to floor it, and God help me if somebody's coming from the other way that I missed. People park in front of that fire hydrant every time that league meets. Every time. You can set your watch by it. I called the police department over and over and over again. Frequently, nobody comes at all. Sometimes they send a community service officer out there or one of the senior patrol volunteers, and the person that has the car talks them out of giving them a ticket. I'm moving it. Sorry, you need a violation. I want to see a black and white out there. I want to see a cop with a bad attitude show up. Somebody's got a discipline problem, hemorrhoids. I'm tired of the only fire hydrant in my neighborhood being blocked by members of that soccer league when it's a money-making venture by the coach and the coaches that run that league. And not to mention the liquor bottles, the beer bottles, the fast food trash thrown in the street right in front of my house, in my yard. Where's George Ogden? He's sick. Really miss seeing George here. Walmarado Park. We got the cops in Walmarado Park and all the parks on patrol now, and all the homeless that used to congregate at the one table, everybody knows the table I'm talking about, they've moved to another table. Problem solved. God. It is deadly to be a pedestrian in West Covina. We lost 2 pedestrians last week. And all these young people that were in the room, I wish they could have stayed to hear that 2 people died. 2 pedestrians died last week in West Covina. One was in the crosswalk at Francisquito and Azusa, and the people didn't even stop. I want to hear, before you swear Mark Taylor in, I want to hear that he has a plan to save the lives of the pedestrians and people in West Covina. Automobile versus pedestrians, it's an epidemic. Last thing I want to say is about voting. I want to thank Mayor Sykes for that West Covina app. It's an excellent thing. It's the best thing he ever did. Since we're going with district voting. We're having this jammed down our throats by 6 people. The 3 racists that brought the lawsuit and the 3 council members that agreed with it. We need to get out ahead of this problem and stop being complacent, stop dragging our feet. We need to get way ahead of this problem. Where is our Hispanic police chief? Why do we have an old white guy as a police chief and a city manager? And for that matter, why is this white lady in the city attorney's chair? Isn't there a Hispanic person that's qualified to have that job? And what about you, city council? You jam these districts down our throat? You should resign tonight and appoint a capable Hispanic person to replace you. You're way too white. The police department's way too white. The fire department's way too white. We need to go all things brown in West Covina. That's the only way we're going to appease the minority majority. And that, my friends, is 5 minutes of your life you're never getting back.
Our next speaker is Wen-Wen Zhang, and Wen-Wen will be followed by Jessica Engelbretson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and the members of the community. My name is Wen-Wen Zhang, and I'm the West Covina Library Manager. I would like to make an announcement of some programs coming up at the library. Our library will have citizenship classes beginning October the 24th, and this is an 8-week course presented by the International Rescue Committee. Students will learn the English, civics, and history that they need to pass the U.S. citizen test. And also the course will give the students an opportunity to acquire important financial literacy skills. The classes will be held every Tuesday and Wednesday, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. from October the 24th to December the 13th. Students must have a green card. Pre-registration is required. Please sign up at the library's information desk. Next Saturday, October the 14th at 2 o'clock, the library will hold a free concert. We would like to invite everybody to come and join us to celebrate the Hispanic Heritage Month and enjoy a trio music performance by a professional music group. And this program is sponsored by the LA County Supervisor Hilda Solis. On the same day of the concert, October the 14th, the Friends of the West Covina Library will hold their traditional second Saturday book sale from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the Friends of the West Covina Library's big fall book sale is coming up soon. The fall book sale will take place on Friday and Saturday, November the 3rd and the 4th, the first weekend of November, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. A special preview sale for members of the Friends of the Library will be held on Thursday, November the 2nd, from 1 to 3 p.m. The West Covina Library will host a free fruit shop clinic on Saturday, October the 28th, from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And this program is in partnership with the LA County Department of Public Health. I wanted to emphasize that fruit shops at the libraries are absolutely free, with no copay or any charge, and inserted by nurses, not the librarians. There are a lot more programs and services and resources in the library for babies, for children, for students, teenagers, adults, older adults, and the families. There's just a lot of, things happening in the library. Come to the library or visit the library's website to find out more details. Thank you.
Thank you, Wen-Wen. Our next speaker is Jessica Engelbretson. and Jessica will be followed by Matt Jackson.
Hi, my name is Jessica Engelbretson, but everybody gets it wrong. I have lived here in West Covina since 1986, and I recently just moved to Covina, but my parents have lived at the same place. I have seen it get progressively worse as far as our homeless issue and the trash. And I'm here more specifically because my mother lives right there by Restaurant Row. So it's Fairway and then Garvey. So there's that freeway bridge right there. There was a homeless encampment, and I have called several times to the police department, and I've called the city as well. And I have not gotten a definitive answer as far as who really owns that property, as past the gate, before the gate. And so I'm here just asking that we do something about the trash. It is so bad. When you go up that hill, it's lined with trash bags, with cups. When they eat, sometimes their clothes. I saw a roll of carpet, and I hate seeing that every single day when I go pick up my daughter. They try and lock it, but they lock it, and what do? They open it. And I don't want to sound callous. I know they have rights, but we have rights as well, and I would like to live in a clean city. I would like someone to come out, to look at the area, and to please pick up the trash. It's gotten to the point where I want to pick up the trash myself, but at the same time, I know we have a city who should be taking care of this, but I don't want my daughter, who I brought today, I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, to constantly see that every day. I take a lot of pride in where my mom lives, I take a lot of pride in where I used to live, and now where my daughter is growing up. So I really ask you to have someone figure this out. Whose jurisdiction is that? And can they please come out and clean it? It's terrible. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Matt Jackson, and Matt will be followed by Todd Smith.
Good evening. I'm Matt Jackson from the Firefighters Association. Today's a sad day in our fire department's history. For the first time ever, the Firefighters Association has issued a vote of no confidence in our fire chief. This is not a decision that was taken lightly. When Chief Whithorn was appointed to the position, he had 100% of the fire department behind him. He was an inside candidate who rose through the ranks. He was one of us, and we considered him part of our family. At the time of his appointment, he and I were both new to our positions. He is a fire chief and me as the Firefighter Association president. During that time, we made a pact to always communicate, no matter what the situation was. However, at some point, Chief Whithorn stopped honoring that pact. As he turned his back on this fire department and the community, we tried multiple times to bring the situation to light. We have requested meetings with the fire chief only to be denied. We have met with council members to voice our concerns. We have met with the city manager. Eventually, we filed complaints with both the Human Resources Commission and the Public Employee Relation Board, both independent third parties, and we have received rulings in our favor on these complaints. And finally, due to the inaction of the city manager, we've been left with no other option than to issue the symbolic vote of no confidence in order to take the matter to the community for which we have dedicated our lives. This vote of no confidence has been signed by 61 of the 62 association members. Now I'd like to speak to what led us to this unprecedented action. In the fire department, the fire chief is our leader. Throughout the career of a firefighter, it's not unusual to work for several different fire chiefs. In my experience, there's several qualities that make up a good leader. First, someone who's creative. They need to have fresh ideas, be innovative and progressive. We also need someone who inspires. They collaborate with their people, engage the department members, create ownership, they create buy-in. Loyalty. Loyalty to the city, its citizens, and the employees. Someone who empowers, delegates tasks, and trusts its members. And the most fundamental quality, a great communicator, keeping the members, citizens, and stakeholders engaged and aware of the goals and directions of the fire department. Chief Whithorn has failed to be a great leader. He's lacked creativity when faced with budgetary issues. Rather than looking for new revenue sources and collaborating with department members to investigate ways to alter our delivery model, which would keep the citizens and firefighters safe, as well as create a monetary savings for the city, Chief Whithorn chose to propose a model that was proposed 7 years ago. Now, this wasn't originally his idea. This was the idea proposed by failed city leadership from the past. Men and women who are no longer making decisions for the city because of their failures. In fact, the chief himself spoke out against these very staffing cuts, saying they were unsafe for the citizens. He breached his loyalty to the employees with acts of retaliation when we spoke out against these cuts. He breached his loyalty to the city by needlessly exposing them to costly litigation. Lastly, communication. We've had a complete lack of communication from Chief Whithorn. His last operational communication with his employees came in the form of an email dated November 17, 2016. This was nearly 1 year ago. No communication from your fire chief for 1 whole year? None? Since his promotion to fire chief 3 years ago, he has had only one meeting with his department supervisors, the captains. This took place in November of 2015, nearly 2 years ago. Also, since his promotion 3 years ago, he's only had one labor management meeting. That took place in 2015, also 2 years ago. I ask you, how is he leading this department? We need change. We need a true leader. I urge the city manager to reconsider his unwavering support for the fire chief. The citizens and the fire department deserve better.
Thank you. There'll be no clapping. If you clap again, I will have you removed. Would you please have him removed? Our next speaker is Todd Smith.
Todd Smith, West Covina Firefighter. Evening Council, city staff. West Covina Fire Department was established about 66 years ago. The last 26 years I've been a firefighter here for the department. Over the past 2 years, we've had unprecedented failures within our department. Failures that this department's never seen before in its history. These failures started 2 years ago. They included our engines and poor equipment that we had. These engines breaking down and inability to replace them caused many of our fire companies to go out of service for some time, leaving large portions of the city with delayed fire responses. This again happened with our ambulances just this year. Our ambulances are not only old, but they are being overrun just because of call load. Many times they're unable to respond to extremely critical calls, delays up to 30 minutes to get an ambulance to a house. And then most recently is our critically understaffed firefighter paramedic position. This position's been understaffed now for almost a year. It's almost impossible to just do our daily staffing because our work pool is so low right now. And these problems aren't getting any better. They came to the head this Saturday, just 4 days ago. 4 days ago, we had 3 out of 5 ambulances out of service because of mechanical problems. We were unable to staff our ambulances because we didn't have enough firefighter paramedics. There just wasn't enough. We couldn't staff them. Okay. What this caused was an unprecedented closing down of Rescue 1, the most busiest rescue in our city, closed it down for hours. Okay. This rescue responds to tens of thousands, or covers tens of thousands of residents. The mall, City Hall, covers many of your homes, and if you would have had an emergency, there would have been a long delay at that time. These incidents they're not unexpected. Over the last 2 years, I've spoke to you all personally about our equipment problems. We've replaced some of them, but it's not fixing it. We still have engines, rescues break down every single week and be put out of service. In addition to that, you're also all personally contacted about the ambulance problem and about the long calls. We had a crew just this last summer doing CPR on a patient for over a half hour because there was no ambulance available. There was no one to take the patient to the hospital. This problem still exists today. It has not changed. Yeah. In addition to our staffing issue, we had an assistant chief that went to your human resources 5 months ago, told them that we're at a critical level for our staff and for fire paramedics. Told them that we had to have this hire. We need to get firefighter paramedics. And if that didn't happen, we'd have what happened just this last Saturday, which will probably happen again here in the next few months, closing down of rigs because we don't have personnel. Since that time, 5 months ago, nothing's happened. Our human resource department hasn't run a firefighter paramedic test. They haven't hired firefighter paramedics. They can't tell us why they don't want to hire firefighter paramedics, even though now that we're closed down rigs because we don't have enough firefighter paramedics. All of you have stated that your safety is a top priority for the city, and citizens are a top priority. Right now, the fire department is failing right in front of you. And the firefighters are here today to ask you when you're going to do something and help this fire department come back to life. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Angel Chu. And Angel will be followed by Maureen Himes.
Good evening, dear Mayor and City Councilman. I'm grateful for this opportunity here tonight. We present Chinese American Association of West Covina, CAWC. My name's Angel. I'm the resident here for West Covina. CAWC goal is to help West Covina develop into better and more superior city. We invite different sectors of a city's Asian Americans, elites, to take part of the work together to reach this goal. Our association is pleased to have Fengtai District of Beijing, China, as a West Covina sister city. For cultural exchange, and West Covina can become a dynamic, innovative stage for our next generation to explore opportunity. Through students' exchange, the two cities will arrange tours and activities. For each other's students will experience others' culture and lifestyle. Chinese exchange students for Fengtai District can live in the family and the host family for the American family for free. They will have the chance to visit attractions such like Disneyland, Hollywood, and more. Our West Covina exchange student can visit Beijing, Forbidden City, the Great Wall, and the other attractions. West Covina will be the very important place to showcase Chinese culture and the art and bring by the Fengtai District. I firmly believe that West Covina will gradually become not just a professional education center, but also is a hub for the kind of the arts. Today, many members of the CAWC members are come here to show their support. And I would like to take this moment to cordially invite West Covina residents to our CAWC opening ceremony in January 2018. Later on, we invite all the mayors and council members to our event. To unite, empower, to promote West Covina prosperously, that is the slogan of a CAWC. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Maureen Himes.
Good evening. I'm very passionate about what I'm going to speak tonight. I support the fire department wholeheartedly. I've called them many times when my husband was sick. They were there. I live just below Fairgrove Fire Station, and every night, every maybe hour on the hour, I hear them go. I'm asking you, ask you to support them. Give them more firemen, and at least listen to them when they speak. They work very, very hard. They saved my husband's life 3 times. And I had to come tonight to support them, my firemen on Fairgrove Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no other cards. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? If not, I will close the public comment section. Mr. City Manager, do you have any additional comments to add on issues raised at tonight's public comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly do. One of the speakers this evening asked about the staff report in item number 5 regarding the data network. So if the council wishes, we can have staff come down and make a presentation either now or at that time, whatever you wish to do so. You can pull it and have a separate discussion, or I can have staff address those questions now. It's up to you.
The item's asked to be pulled by Mayor Pro Tem, so we'll do it then.
Okay, so we'll answer that question for the resident at that time. Regarding Mr. Sykes asking the resident asking questions about the website being down over the weekend, so websites do go down on occasion. There could be loss of connection, and that could be anything from we get our cable internet from, I believe, Spectrum. So if they go down, we go down. There could be issues with our system here where it can go down. A good example is today, the SIRE system was down for, I believe, a couple of hours, which is the agenda software, but that was reinstated today. As a follow-up, though, about the mobile phone app that was discussed today, it is operational. Sometimes the application for when you do, let's say, the report graffiti and the automatic mapping, sometimes that does go down, and it needs to be rebooted on the end of the mobile phone app company. But you're still able to type in the coordinates or the area where that graffiti is, if that's what the resident's issue was. If not, they're welcome to come up and let me know. Regarding people doing drugs, smoking, or hanging out in parks at late at night, call the police. That's one of the things that the police is required to do, is go shoot people out of our parks at night. If people are doing something illegal, like drinking, doing drugs, and smoking, the police department has the authority to cite folks and to remove them from the parks. With regards to the sound system in here that the resident spoke about, yes, it is something that's on the list. I believe the actual design to replace audio-video equipment in this room is being finalized, and we hope to bring that back to the City Council for approval in a short time. Regarding Merced Elementary parking from the soccer leagues and issues of cleanup, we'll be more than happy to follow up with the league, as well as have public safety out there at the appropriate time. I know that right now, city staff and the police chief is speaking. Oh, he's back. We were speaking to the resident regarding the homeless camp over on Fairway, so we'll make sure that that's addressed. Again, just for folks to remember, sometimes if it's outside our jurisdiction of West Covina city limits, we don't provide the service of cleaning up those homeless encampments. Not necessarily that this is the case, but also a good example is along the freeway for Caltrans area. City does not have the authority to go ahead and start removing the encampments in Caltrans right away. So what the Caltrans typically does is they'll work with their cleanup crew as well as the CHP to clean up the encampments along the freeway on both sides of the freeway, both as needed. Let's see here. With regards to some comments with regards to the Fire Association brought up with regard to the fire chief and some of the items that have been brought up. I want to make sure that the public is aware that, there has been discussion in the past that the city was closing a fire station. That's not the case. There's been discussion that we're laying people off. That's not the case. In actuality, the city needs to hire additional firefighters, both firefighters as well as firefighter paramedics in our community, and we're trying to move forward to do that as quickly as possible. One of the things that the city is trying to finalize with the Fire Association is a labor process called fact-finding. That's part of, the association's right to resolve a personnel matter, a labor issue that we're trying to resolve. And once the conclusion of that fact-finding is done, the results will be shared with the City Council. And at that time, the city can move forward with some of the changes we look to provide more efficiencies in the department. I know there was discussion about apparatus. We just replaced 2 new fire engines and a Quint in the city, which is the first time that that's happened I believe, in well over a decade that we replace apparatus of that magnitude. Ambulances come and go and are replaced more frequently if we have the resources to do so. I appreciate their discussion about the importance of ambulances because that's something we've been trying to work with the association with for a few months now is, if you're not familiar, you probably see care ambulances all over the neighborhood now. Care ambulance is taking over the county contract for the area around us from AMR. So what the city is, thanks to the leadership of our fire chief, has discussed and made a kind of I want to say a verbal agreement with Care Ambulance that we hope to bring back to the city council is to have them provide backup basic life support and advanced life support services to our residents. So when our West Covina fire ambulances are not available, these folks can come in and assist.
Are we going to move them into our area?
What's that?
Are they going to move into our area, or are they going to be as call needed and then coming from outside?
So the intent is to bring them housed here. That's another level that we have to negotiate with the fire association.
They don't need to be in our station. They just need to be in our city.
We still have to negotiate it even if we want to house them in our city. Not on city property, just at a supermarket in town.
Okay, but as long as they're in the city limits.
We need to stop.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we don't allow. Right.
No,
we don't allow.
Yeah.
You'd have, if you have questions, feel free to talk to them afterward, or you can submit them in writing or give them a phone call. But but
that's okay.
I'm just saying I know. I'm just saying I can't do any more of that.
The intent is to first and foremost have them as a primary backup. Because as of right now, if there's a 911 call and our vehicles are unavailable, dispatch is required to go through a list of all the different ambulance companies to see who is available. What our intent is to have an agreement with Care Ambulance until we can go through a formal process to have them here on a more permanent basis. But that will be something we need to discuss at a future council meeting, but it's also something we do have to negotiate with the labor union on. So we'll be looking to move that. I will say that there's a period of time here that we have what's called a SAFER grant, and those employees that are hired under that SAFER grant were only given employment guarantee for as long as that grant was in existence. That grant expired in May. I can tell you now that all of the firefighter or firefighter paramedics that were hired in the grant have been transferred to now are moving forward to become full-fledged West Covina firefighters or firefighter paramedics. We're making that transition. We just have to do some administrative processes in the background. But again, that was something we needed to work with the union to be able to provide. It's not something that we can just flip the switch and say it happens, unfortunately. This is a copy of the claim against the city from the Firefighter Association. It's a public document. I encourage you to reach out to the city clerk's office, get a copy of it, and read it. Okay? It claims in here that the fire chief is retaliating against the members of the Fire Association for a variety of issues. That he changed the rules for what tuition reimbursement is for the firefighters here in West Covina. That's not the case. The city did that for all employee groups and had a clarification done. They also said that, they were concerned that we just recently are going through a promotion process or hiring of a new assistant fire chief. For the first time, this city went out, decided to do a full recruitment to get the best candidate for the job and not just do an internal recruitment. That is in here, which was a decision of the city, not the fire chief. There is in here, folks here, we had a drought, right? We're still kind of dealing with in some parts of town. If you're, Zeus of Water and Power, they still cite you if you water your lawns on the wrong day of time, right? Well, one of the things that are in here is the city said to the Fire Association members, you can't wash your personal vehicles while on duty using city resources. Okay? These are all things that are in this agreement document. Please read these because, I am going to fully support our fire chief. I know the department heads do. I know much of the staff here do. I'm not going to speak on behalf of the council, but I'm asking, do your own research and look into this. I can tell you that we are working closely with the Fire Association. We do have a wonderful fire department. I've always told them at the bargaining table, we will disagree between city and union, but at the end of the day, you will have the tools you need to do your job. And it's my hope that, we'll be able to resolve this. And unfortunately, it just takes time to do so because of the fact that we have to go through these labor negotiation processes. I know it's a concern of the city council. They wish this was resolved as well. No one likes to be at odds between members of our associations or the city staff, especially a group that is so instrumental into the daily safety of our community. So I can assure you that we're doing everything we can to resolve this as quickly as possible. And it's our hope that, that this fact-finding gets wrapped up in the next 30 to 60 days. We can start making some of the changes that we are looking to do to provide better services. It's our hope to get these ambulances serving our community right away. I wish the association was here because they have that equal concern. So it's my hope that when we give them a letter tomorrow asking for their permission to at least have something on a temporary basis until we can have formal negotiations with them, that they'll accept that. That's important to us and to all of you to have those backup ambulances here serving our community. With that, Mr. Mayor, I've probably spoken much more than I was supposed to since it's not on the agenda, but I am passionate, and I like to say is, as long as I'm city manager, Larry Whithorn will be our fire chief. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead.
I have one on, Mr. Wilkins brought up the homeless issue. Now, which meeting, because I know we already approved that as a council, we're going to go through all the different possibilities and options as far as laws and legal enforcement. Is that the next meeting in October, or is that going to be in November? Okay, so November we're going to have that meeting where the council is going to talk about that.
Correct, but as a follow-up, the Bike Patrol, our HOPE team, is on patrol and serving our residents now and targeting some areas, as well as one of the efforts that the city council has asked, and it was part of the budget discussion, is to start looking at our maintenance districts. Some of those areas that have heavy vegetation, bushes, the things where the homeless are congregating, making camps, or people hiding in the bushes. We're starting to do a process to start eliminating all that extra vegetation to make it so it's not as a desirable location to camp out at. And so that'll be an ongoing effort and ongoing battle with the city as well.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Councilman Wu is asked to pull item number 5, and Mayor Pro Tem Spence is asked to pull item number 7. Are there any other items that you wish to pull?
I move we approve the consent agenda with the deletion of 5 and 7.
Do I have a second? It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Spence and seconded by Councilman Johnson to approve all other items on the consent calendar. Madam Assistant City Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Johnson?
Aye.
Toma?
Aye.
Wu?
Aye.
Spence?
Aye.
Warshaw?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We'll now move on to consent item number 5. Councilman Wu.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, I know we have a lot of issue about data, need to be improved. But at the same time, we have the financial stress. I don't know, right now it's a good time to, spend this $183,000. So I need maybe city manager to clarify, is that really feasible in current our situation? I know we approve the budget, everything, but still, because due to the stress we have. And second thing, I think a lot of the residents kind of question about that, so maybe you can clarify, since you're from Rancho Cucamonga, and this vendor is from Rancho Cucamonga, so maybe you can clarify you have nothing to do with this company. Okay, thank you.
I have nothing to do with that company. No, yes, absolutely. We'll have our IT manager, Sean Granger, give a brief report, explain to you. This is something that has been budgeted this year's budget, and as part of the infrastructure, the nuts and bolts that keep our system running. And without these things, that's where we're having some of our failures. But I'll let Mr. Granger give a little bit more details.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. So basically what this is going to do is it's going to put the pieces of our infrastructure, which we call switches, in place. Our equipment is at minimum 19 years old. This past weekend actually on cue, one of these went out in our yard, and Fire Station 1 was down from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to replace. The yards was also down as well. So basically, these are, we've gone throughout the whole entire city. We're only buying 15 new switches. Of those, 3 are going to, the new ones are going in the fire station, 1's in PD, and 3 of the yards, which also support our fire stations. 10 of them we're gonna just take out parts and upgrade. So we're trying to use as much of the equipment that we possibly can. Most of our equipment is from the 90s, so it doesn't work with anything new. So without doing the upgrades to this, we're unable to, our phone systems are about to die as well. If we do not do this upgrade, we can't upgrade our phone system to the voice over IP, which is much, much cheaper than the analog system. So we cannot get parts for our current phone system. It's going to start dying. That includes PD, that includes throughout the city.
Yeah, so basically you are upgrading the digital system, and this is something you think is very important for our public safety. And due to what you say, like this failing and the phone system is very important for people to call in. So this $180,000 you think is well spent?
Yeah, we tried to use anything we possibly could from the old systems, but our system, like I said, it's 19 years old. It's not compatible with anything that's currently made. So.
And another question, following question would be, how about the warranty? How long they guarantee this system will continue to work? Because we don't want to spend $180,000 and only work for 1 year, then you have to replace the new system again.
So we're purchasing software maintenance that'll go for 3 years, but we'll continue to do the software, which that includes all firmware to make sure that on these systems you want to make sure that it has the upgrades, so the viruses, the crypto, everything doesn't affect the city. It also will, but HP warrants the actual hardware for life. So if it goes out, we can replace it for free for life. So it's they're kind of tried and true. The only time we'll really need to replace it is when we get to another situation like now, when everything's kind of moved on and we can't replace the other parts that connect to it.
So you foresee when you will see this situation happen? 5 years?
So probably, no, most likely 10 years, 15 years. End of life for these parts are around 10 to 15 years.
So this investment, $183,000, will be last for 10 years?
Yeah, it's going to be, it's going to move us to at least 10, 15 years. Like I said, what we have now has lasted, most of it's been here 20 years. So it's worked pretty good, but it's kind of time for it to go off. And this is going to allow us to do the door access, the Wi-Fi that we have in here, which we got with a grant. We can't actually turn on because it doesn't work with the current system.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on item number 5? Yes.
So just to be clear, the resident, Ms. Buchanan, asked about future budget, like if this amount, $183,000, I know this is for this budget cycle. Is there future budget costs that are anticipated with this particular project as well?
Yeah, so it would be, we currently already have a budget for regular software maintenance. That would be it. It's something that's been since we've had the computers, so that wouldn't be any change. We would still continue to budget that every year. But this would actually give us 3 years where we don't have to budget it because it's come part with when you buy it.
So yeah, I remember that I think the money that was used because it's like a one-time revenue because of change in investment, and so we decided to use it for sort of one-time infrastructure expenses because these are not ongoing things. This is like a replacement of a system essentially. And I have seen like on social media, I forget, it was like either Twitter or Instagram, where the police phone lines have gone down and they've had to send out a thing saying, please be aware. And I know a lot of people don't get that because most people aren't on Twitter, Instagram, following the West Covina Police Department. So they don't even know that, this announcement's gone out. They probably just call and then become very concerned when they can't get through. I believe our 911 calls are still available, but that is very disconcerting when the public safety personnel can't even use their phones and the communications, let alone other, departments, administrations that need to talk to each other and use data. So I understand the need for this.
Are there any other questions? If not, do I have a motion?
Okay, so move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilman Wu and seconded by Councilman Toma. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Johnson?
Aye.
Toma?
Aye.
Wu?
Aye.
Spence? Warshaw?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. The next item is item number 7. Mayor Pro Tem Spence.
Yes, thank you. This is the general plan annual report, and I understand what the word completed means next to items, but I'd like to know what the difference is between the words pending, in progress, and continuing, because those three are variously throughout the process, different items. So I'm just curious if you could let me know, because when I looked at the thesaurus, they all come up the same. You know, in progress, continuing, et cetera. What does that mean? What's
Absolutely.
the differences between those?
Absolutely. If I can, let me go ahead and have Ron Garcia respond to that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. As it's indicated in the staff report, if it's not clear, I'll go ahead and repeat what the staff report indicates, so that way the audience gets to hear what the staff report indicates. So staff has prepared, again, a chart, and again, I'll make a note that there was a correction. It should be attachment number 3, listing the goals and policies and actions of the general plan, as well as their current status. Items marked continuing are actions with no definitive end date. So they're essentially ongoing. It's up to, again, the general plan is a living document, and that way they're ongoing. They're long-term goals within the general plan that the city has identified to take action on. Items marked in progress have been initiated by, but not yet completed. So essentially, those are goals that the city has identified as items in progress, but not yet completed. Again, they're ongoing with the goal of getting to the point of completing the item. And then lastly, items marked completed have been implemented. And again, I'll bring your attention to policy 2.5 and action 2.5A, again, which is support the revitalization of Glendora Avenue retail. So that is one example of that. I hope that clarifies that.
Pending, and then there's pending. And it just means we're waiting for them to be agendized? The pending items?
For example, pending is in that they have not been initiated, so it's up to the, again, the council at that time that the council feels that they would like to initiate those items, and again, they're pending.
Okay. So it's up to the council then to initiate them, the ones that are pending. Well, then I have a question, and that is, when did the council initiate, since it's in progress, considering the utility users tax? Because
I'm sorry, what
on page 2 of 19, A2.2, it says consider utility users tax. And then it says in progress. So when did the council initiate that?
Actually, that has not been initiated by council or staff, so that should be pending.
Okay. So are there other things on here that are inaccurate too?
If council wishes to go through them, we're welcome to go through them.
Okay.
I don't believe, I shouldn't say that. We'll see.
Yeah, better be careful, huh?
That's right.
Okay, so that is going to be changed then if we adopt the report?
We'll note that change.
No, that was the big one. Thank you.
With that, do I have a motion?
I move we receive the report, not approve, with that correction.
Is there a second? Fails for lack. No, he's saying he wants to receive it, not approve
Receive it, not approve it, yeah.
So there is no second. With that, I will make a motion to approve item number 7. Is there a second?
I'll second that one.
It's been moved by myself and seconded by Councilman Johnson to approve item number 7. Roll call vote, please.
With the change?
With the change.
Johnson?
Aye.
Toma?
Aye.
Wu?
Aye.
Spence?
No.
Warshaw?
Aye. Motion passes 4-1. We will now move forward with item number 10. Mr. City Manager, who will provide this report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, we'll be hearing item number 10, which is the West Covina Community Services Foundation Fiscal Year Annual Report.
Yeah.
We're going to have,
Excuse me, yeah.
we're going to have Mr. Thomas step down, and
Just if I could clarify, Mr. Toma has declared a potential conflict of interest because of his work with the Attorney General's office overseeing nonprofits, and so we will ask him to leave the room to avoid any appearance of impropriety.
And the bylaws of the foundation and the action of the council was that Mr. Kaufman, who is currently the chair of the Community and Senior Services Commission, will serve in the role on the foundation board. So with that, if I can, I'll turn it over to our Assistant City Manager, Nicole Bresciani, who will be giving the foundation board and council a brief report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, staff, and members of the public. On February 1st, 2005, the City of West Covina authorized the formation of the West Covina Community Services Foundation, a California public benefit corporation. According to the bylaws, the foundation was organized for charitable purposes. The foundation receives gifts of funds from donors for specific purposes, such as special events like 4th of July, new recreational opportunities, increasing public safety services, preservation of city equipment and facilities, and the pursuit of other benefits of public interest. The formation of the foundation also allows the city to be more competitive when seeking grant funding to help provide such services, such as we applied for the Orangewood Soccer Complex U.S. Soccer Foundation grant. The foundation's board is made up of the 5 city council members, with Commissioner Kaufman serving for council member James Toma due to a potential conflict of interest. City manager serves as the corporation's president, city clerk as the secretary, and the interim finance director as the chief financial officer. The finance department is responsible for monitoring and preparing the foundation's annual report. While the funds are listed in the city's adopted budget each year, the foundation bylaws still require a report to the board of directors on an annual basis within 120 days from the end of the fiscal year, June 30th. In addition to the adoption of the annual report, the board of directors is required to do an annual reorganization of the board, which will take place on November 21st, concurrent with the reorganization of the city council. The annual report, which is attachment number 2, and also I have here on the slides, shows the cumulative total of $150,327 in revenues were collected and $148,824 in funds were expended. And I apologize that it's small to see. Unfortunately, because of the sizing that we have for our television audience, it compacts it quite a lot. So those of you that don't have access to this, it is available on SIRE attached to our agenda report. At the June 30th, 2017 point, the foundation had a fund balance of $134,228. It should be noted that funds donated by Athens in the past and in fiscal year 16-17 no longer go into the foundation. These funds now go into the general fund as a part of the adoption of the fiscal year 2017-18 budget. And as part of the adoption of the 17-18 budget, city events were cut, so any events moving forward for the current fiscal year would have to be supported by fund balance or a reallocation of funds within the foundation. City staff recommends that the City Council leave funds in most of the accounts to be used by departments based on donations having been submitted for specific purposes. City staff also recommends foundation funds being used for Veterans Day and Memorial Day ceremonies in fiscal year 17-18 at a cost of approximately $1,000. There are approximately $2,000 in the foundation under the miscellaneous item for Sports Council from past fines that are used for capital improvements for your youth sports facilities. So we have a listing here of past special events. With the co-sponsorship, that can be a variety of things. That can be anything from staff costs to setting up a stage, supplies, depending upon the level of sponsorship and partnership that we have with various organizations. And as you can see from the list of past special events, Athens was a huge supporter. We've also partnered with the Plaza, East San Gabriel Valley Japanese Community Center, various community groups to do our community service day, including West Coast Arborists, which was generous enough, along with Athens this past year when we did house cleanup, to reduce fees for service, provide roll-off bins. There's a lot of effort and money that goes into these events. So the fiscal year 17-18, even though the council had directed to cut special events, because 4th of July fell in the first part of 17-18, most of the money is spent in the prior fiscal year, and we encumber the funds moving forward. So the council has elected to move forward and cut 4th of July for technically the 18-19 fiscal year, but as a part of this budget, because money is spent, that has been elected to move on. So we have a listing of the special events and who our partners and sponsors are. So the planned special events that we have, Summer Concert Series, which has already taken place, and staff has committed to raising the funds moving forward for the next summer for however many sponsored events that we can get, how many sponsored concerts we can get. The West Covina Day at the Fair, there is a partnership now involved, more laborious, involved with the Fairplex, so we are committed to providing them ongoing space in the Discover, putting banners up in the community, so there are some hard and soft costs associated with that, in addition for us having our West Covina Day at the Fair. The Pumpkin Run Walk 5K is a partnership with West Covina Christian Church, and the event directly benefits the Senior Center. All the proceeds go back to the Senior Center in support of our programs and services there. The Red Ribbon Rally is supported by Rotary this year. They have already, as you might have heard at a past council meeting, pledged to give the funds for the public safety staff costs. And Veterans Day ceremony is something that we are hoping to move forward with. The MLK Junior event is something that is co-sponsored by NAACP. We've already reached out to that partner to let them know that we cannot move forward in donating the stage costs and that they would have to pay for that, and they are amenable to do so. Our volunteer recognition luncheon that happens at the Senior Center has been sponsored by Intervalley Health Plan in the past, and we are confident that that will continue. And then Memorial Day is something that we would like to see move forward as well. So we estimate that there's approximately $9,000 to be exact. According to the spreadsheets, it's $8,638 available for council consideration to reprogram if they so choose. Something to be noted is that staff costs are not something that's funded by the foundation, it's just supply costs. So at this point, we are recommending that the City Council provide staff direction regarding current balances in the foundation. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Do I have any questions from the board? Board Member Kaufman. It's on,
yeah. Also in the staff report, after it mentions the $9,000 or $8,638 available for reprogramming, it mentions a list of projects and associated costs. Is that what we just went over, or is that a separate list of projects?
No, this is the one sec. Oh, sorry. The list that we have here is the list of the costs of the special events, which have also been provided in past budget meetings. And so what we are advocating is that the Veterans Day, Memorial Day, and still move forward for this fiscal year, especially in light of the soldier that we just lost. The staff felt that that was something that would pay homage to our military forces. And in addition to the funds that are in that miscellaneous count that you have in your attachments, there's about $11,638 in that account. And so what we're saying is that if we put $1,000 from that account, the miscellaneous for the Veterans Day and Memorial Day, and $2,000 earmarked for youth sports improvements, because those are past fines that have been made from those sports council teams. Sports council has specific bylaws that govern their teams, including residency. So fines come from them not attending meetings from their particular sports council team, or from them not meeting residency requirements. And we have had teams in the past that have been fined, and each time they're fined, the fine gets higher based on, compliance.
So if we're taking the $1,000 for Memorial Day and Veterans Day, and community groups such as Rotary and the NAACP and some other organizations you mentioned are all participating in continuing concerts in the park, Day at the Fair, Red Ribbon, Veterans Day, Martin Luther King Day, Memorial Day. Is there still this sum of $86.38 left over? And can that be used towards continuing the 4th of July?
The 8638 wouldn't come close to running 4th of July. So
I understand
yeah.
that. But if there are other groups that will participate in supporting the 4th of July, can that sum be used as a city contribution towards that?
Absolutely. The council, and in this case, the foundation board, has the directive to provide us direction in saying which events and or programs they would like to see move forward. And any of the programs, even if the cost is prohibitive in terms of overall cost is very large, if we were to procure other sponsors, for sure, we could put that towards that. So it's at the discretion of the board.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Chair Smith.
Or Chair Pro Tem. No. What's the rationale behind the dine-in pool movie budget?
That's the cost of the actual licensing for the movie. So typically in the summertime, we do a dive-in movie, and we do it at, like one year we had the Sandlot theme at the pool, and so that's the cost.
Yeah, I remember that. But I mean, but we didn't do that this year, right?
I think, what's that? Yeah, the pool was down, so we were having.
Yeah, so, I mean, we didn't do that, and so we're going to do it again, even though we don't have a pool?
No, these are just potential.
Okay.
Yeah, these are
Okay,
events.
you're not proposing that then?
No. These are just events that we have done in the past, something that we were proposing before they got cut, and so we wanted to provide them for information purposes so that the board had a thorough understanding.
Yeah, because I don't think we can even know what the cost might be at this point for the dine-in pool.
Right.
Right, because we don't have a pool.
Yeah.
The other question is, what's the drop-dead deadline for the 4th of July? When do we have to have a sponsor or stuff? Because obviously, that's technically in the next year's budget, right? Because it's July. But what's the drop dead? What's the drop dead?
We cut it for this budget, so therefore we would have to do a budget amendment to bring back 4th of July, and we would have to know by January, because really we have to procure we are in an agreement, and so we would have to cancel our agreement with our fireworks purveyor. But in addition, that's just really, there's a lot of planning that goes behind it.
Right, yeah, no, I understand that. So what's the cost of the 4th of July that we would have to have?
The cost of the 4th of July in totality with staff costs, and that's the issue. So in addition to, I want to say it's between $20,000 and $30,000 of hard costs because of the fireworks show, in addition to the other supplies, but the actual staff time is what's prohibitive. So the overtime alone from PD and fire and community services, the total event is about $70,000, $75,000.
And what was the revenues from it last time?
I'm not seeing where I put the revenue from last year, although I know I have it here.
Maybe she knew.
Let's see. Not counting the Athens sponsorship, we brought in approximately $10,000, I believe.
Okay, so 75, so 65,000 is what's needed, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
I have a question on the day at the fair. So in addition to having to put in advertisement into Discover, which costs us something, not real expensive other than the time, I guess, in producing it. What are the costs? I think we have to provide a banner, don't we?
Actually, so they will make the banner, but we have to pay the staff costs and time and energy to put the banner up.
Okay. So do you know what our costs are for the fair? I'm not looking for an exact figure.
Yeah,
just-
it's a few $100s in staff time.
Okay.
If we counted the soft cost of the marketing, it would probably be up to about $1,000.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Did you have a question? Okay, if not, then let's see, where are we? I think we do. Where am I?
I'll move that we approve city staff's recommendation to utilize money for Veterans Day, Memorial Day.
Second?
Only those two items?
Yeah, those are the only two they asked for, right? Oh, as well as the 2,000
Right.
from the miscellaneous youth,
Right.
youth stuff, yeah. The youth fines, yeah.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Vice Chair Spence and seconded by Board Member Wu. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Johnson?
Aye.
Toma?
Not Toma.
Kaufman? My apologies. Wu?
Aye.
Spence?
Aye.
Warshaw?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. And if someone would get Councilman Toma back. With that, we will move on to AB 1234, conference and meeting reports. Is there any council member wishing to report on an AB 1234? None. Very good. Let's see, City Council requests for reports. We'll move forward with item number 11, a request from Councilman Wu for City Council to discuss establishing a sister city relationship with Beijing Fentai District, China.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And about 3-4 weeks ago, we have a chance to tour China, okay, myself and mayors and our business leader of Mr. McIntyre. And the trip is extremely successful. And we have a chance when last stop we visit Beijing, we got approached by basically the Beijing Fentai district, okay? And Beijing has about 8 districts. Each district is about, okay, and our Fentai want to become a sister city. It's about 2.3 million population, and they are about, 180 square miles. So it's pretty a big city, and they're really willing to become our sister city. And for us for them to come over here, they intend to visit us in November, about middle of November. But for them to come over here, visit us, we need to show them we intend to be a sister city, so they can come over here. At the same time, when we approve, then our mayor, they request, send a letter say we intend to be a sister city. So for that, in November, their delegation will come to our city, formal visits at the same time and bring their documentation to intention to be a sister city with city of West Covina. And I check around about this city or this district. The only sister city they have with Beijing is Washington, D.C. and New York. And for district, the only one city with 8 districts as a sister city is Pasadena. Pasadena is sister city with one of the sister city district that is so-called Xicheng. Xicheng district is about 1.1 million okay, population, and it's only 18 square mile. And so for this big city of Fengtai willing to be a sister city with us as a Beijing, a capital, I think such an honor, okay, put West Covina on the map. And at the same time, I'm such an honor to see the Chinese American Association West Covina, and I think for them to be taking about the lead, hopefully that when they come over here, we have our resident to welcome them. At the same time, as a sister city to do education exchange, we need somebody to host their children. At the same time, we send our children to Beijing. I think that's what this exchange, okay, students about. At the same time, business and tourism and the full fund of a potential investor come to our city, I think it's a great thing. So I request, okay, an agenda move, okay, to approve as a, okay, to be intention to be a sister city with Beijing Fengtai. Thank you.
Thank you. I would agree with Councilman Wu. When we were there and talked to them, they were very much in favor of wanting to do this relationship. It was explained to them that they have to pay all of their costs to come over and visit with us. And one of the things I mentioned to them is, you're quite a bit bigger than we are. Don't send everyone at once.
Send their money.
Right. But I do have some questions for the Chinese American group from West Covina. If one of you can maybe come up to the microphone, I have a question as to how many children you think you can support per year?
Actually, we can do it for the exchange student program. Probably we want to start it for the small group first, because we need to see how's the workout. So probably the first group, probably 20 people first.
Wow.
Yes, and then so regular, and then we can provide like a summer camp and winter camp like that.
Great. Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem Spence.
I don't know if there was a second on this, but how does approving this change, or I'm not sure we really have a sister city relationship with Wuhu, China? How does that affect that? Or do we drop them? Say
That's at
you're no longer a sister?
The pleasure of the city council. It is an inactive relationship. However, there has been no action to notify them that we're not a relationship. We can continue that relationship as well, but it's up to the city council what they wish to do.
And my other question is, what are the actual, I mean, it says here, fiscal impact will be determined by the city council's action. I'm not sure what that means, because you don't have any cost for any of the other ones.
Well, again, there's no cost for this action tonight. Tonight, the action is, the city council want to send an invitation letter to Beijing Fengtai to offer them to come to West Covina. I believe they have an intention to come in November, December this year?
November.
Middle of November. So the action would be just to send them an invitation letter. But as the sister city relationship continues to move forward, any additional costs, we would either need to do a separate appropriation if it's this year, budget for it in future years, or work with local nonprofit organizations or the Chinese Association for sponsorships.
Yeah, because I do think, with all these different relationships that we shouldn't be using necessarily general fund money, that we should, donations, community services, or some other way of it being handled. So, but yeah.
Councilman Wu.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is not about the invitation. I think we can send an invitation, okay, by the mayor, but this is more about we are intent to a sister city relationship. So this is what we need to send to them. When they come over here, they bring the document. If we're not intent to be a sister city, they're not coming. So we need to approve we are intent to be a sister city first. Otherwise, they won't come.
Right.
So otherwise, they waste all their money, the airfare, come over here. We're just sorry, we're not intent. Okay, just be a tourist. So I think that tonight is we need to show them we intend to be a sister city, and we send this document to them that will approved by 5 city council or by either majority, and then we welcome them, and they will bring the document to us, and they will sign the intention to be a sister city, and we grow our relationship, okay, continuously with our group help our resident, and maybe most of the fund will become from the private sector.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a question?
No, I was just going to add, Mr. Mayor, we have done these documents in the past. So city staff has some sample documents that we did for Woohoo China as well as Ottawa, Japan. So we can wordsmith a document for a sister city relationship and have it sent out for approval to the different bodies, to both the West Covina Chinese American Association, as well as we share it with the folks in Beijing, Fengtai, to make sure there's nothing that is being too much of a commitment on either party.
Councilman Tillman.
Thank you. So I think these ideas for cultural exchange are great ideas. And we probably ought to be doing more of them, especially since we have a pretty sizable Chinese American population. It's growing. I think it would be wonderful to do this. What I do have a concern about Woohoo and whether we should at some point put on the agenda whether we are going to terminate that. If it's a dormant one, I don't know what the last year of communication was, but it just seems a little odd to have two and one that's just completely not inactive. But I also think that not asking for any kind of contract because it's too legalistic, but having a shared understanding of what both sides want to accomplish would be a smart thing to do, because we don't know exactly what conversations they had over there, and I don't want there to be some sort of imbalance in the expectations. For example, later on we found out, oh, we thought you were going to be sending 30 kids every year, and then find out, oh no, we thought, so I do think that's important to have that communication before they come here. Well, one question I had, maybe you guys can answer this, is are they coming here already in November, or why that particular date? And then but we want them to stop over in West Covina while they're here, or why is it about November, December that is the timing issue?
Okay, let me answer that. So when we visit Beijing, Fengtai, and then when they tour us, and I say, so if you're interested to become a sister city, so when you intend or you think about your budget, and they have a budget basically, and in November they can come to here, and in December will be too late because the holiday, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what the best time, I think, is about November, the middle of November, and that's what the intention is about. And so right now we have to basically approve that we intend to be a sister city and send to them so they can approve that in their government that we are welcome them. So in that way they can come over here in November. So that's what it's all about.
Right. In addition, in talking to them, they wanted to be able to send their kids first because we felt it would take longer for us to get that group together. And in order to do that and get the commitments from their parents and the funding for it, they would need at least that much time to be able to send their kids this next summer.
So the intent is to actually send up to 20 kids in this coming summer?
For them to send, yes.
Right. What age group are they talking about?
I think the age group they were talking about was like 13 to 18 years old.
Let me add this, since I have continuously communication with the Director of Foreign Affairs of Beijing, Fengtai, and about what they need and what we can accomplish for them. That's what this meeting is about. Okay, and their intent, if they can come over here in November, and then they can sign the intention to be a sister city, so they can bring this back to their city. And they are planning, they are already discussed with city manager, they intend to send their youth orchestra to perform in our city. Yeah, and they will pay for everything. So meaning they're already thinking about events in summertime, and due to their summer vacation, they can come over here and to perform. And in that way, showing the Beijing Fengtai, the people and the kids, the children, and I think the parent will come with them. I think this is a good thing as a culture, the music and art to our city, and bring this international relationship. And regarding about Woohoo or something, I have no idea about who they are. So if you can set out agenda. Okay, I don't even know where's Woohoo. Okay, so it sounds like my name, Woohoo. Okay, so the point is this: maybe we can have agenda, basically remove as a sister city, so we can concentrate a city that really want to be a sister city with us, and they want to bring the revenue, they want to bring their kid, to come over here and to do the cultural exchange. And so the communication basically, when they come over here and sign the intention to be sister city, and right away in summer they will have their youth orchestra to perform. They say if we have a music event, they want to come and perform for our residents. So I think it's a pretty good thing.
I think that Woohoo didn't work because we didn't have an organization here in West Covina to help make that work, and that was one of the things that I had talked to Councilman Wu about, and before we talk to Beijing, that we would have to find an organization that's willing to, here in West Covina, to help sponsor this, because the city can't do it on its own. We don't have the employee time or the funding to do that. But since we do have an organization that has stepped up and is willing to work it, I think it's a great thing for our kids, not only this coming year, but years into the future. And with that, if that was a motion you made, I will second it. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I was going to share with the public that if you go to the city's website under About the City, it talks about the relationships with Woohoo as well as Ottawa, and under the Woohoo, that has a Woohoo Sister City Agreement. So the actual document is there, so people can look at it as well. And it would be something similar that we would look to present to them for signature when they come to visit us.
Madam Assistant City Clerk, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Johnson?
Aye.
Spence?
Aye.
Toma?
Aye.
Wu?
Aye.
Warshaw?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Are there any other council member comments? Councilman Wu.
I know it's early, so I want to talk a long time. Okay, I'm just kidding. Okay, now,
Your time is up.
I think so, okay, and I just want to share a statement regarding what myself witnessed firsthand about our police and firefighter their action. Okay, about 2 weeks ago, it's Saturday. Okay, I don't know what happened to Cortez. Like we have a lot of accidents recently, and my son's friend came to pick him up and to have a gathering at Saturday night about 8 o'clock. When they went out of my house and hit, and the Cortez and Hollenbeck, and they got T-bone. Okay, and it's pretty severe accident, and the car on the passenger side really caved in, and then the airbag, basically, deployed, and this pretty kind of bad thing. So my son called me, and somebody already called 911. So right away, I came out my house and went to the scene, and I surprisingly, in such a short time, we already have a police officer, and we already have our fire department over there. And I just want to say my first impression is they are extremely professional. Officer Chris is really doing a good job, and the firefighters, all those staff, they treat the injured, slightly injured. Luckily, it's not as severe, but still and check her out and make sure they are safe and this. So I just want to thank the police, and the firefighter, even the tow truck Royal Coach coming out with courtesy, and everybody. I'm very surprised with their customer service. Hopefully they don't know I'm a city council, so that they treat me differently. I want them to treat all the residents in West Covina with respect, with courtesy, and so for the people, injured person or person in the involved, everybody feel at ease, in that very tough time. So I really again show my I'm really proud of my staff in West Covina, the professionalism. So again, I want to thank the police, the firefighter, even Royal Coach. Okay, thank you.
This must be the time for things to happen, which always aren't so good in our neighborhood, because a week ago Thursday, my wife came home and found a little card at my front desk with a number on it for a police report, because where I live on the corner of Grand and Holt, somebody ran a red light, hit one of my neighbors who was crossing Holt when they ran a red light, and forced him into my wall. Our police and fire department were both out there very quickly. My neighbor had some pretty good sized bruises and stuff, totaled his car. The person that hit him, his car was totaled, and I had about a 14-foot hole in my wall, but other than that, luckily everybody was insured and everybody's doing fine. But I do want to thank our police department, our fire department, and I guess Royal Coaches, because they had to tow both cars also. So hopefully the three of you will not have those types of incidences. The other thing I want to remind everybody, finally, Friday, October 6, 2017, We will have opening ceremonies, I think, starting at 6:30 for the new Orangewood Soccer Complex. I got a chance to visit it about a week ago, and it's finally looking really good. The grass is looking good. I didn't see any graffiti, which was nice, and hopefully it won't have it then, but I would love to see everyone who can make it to come out on the 6th and look at this new beautiful facility.
Mr.
Yes,
Mayor, if we
Mr.
can
City
add one
Manager.
other announcement, a reminder to the public, you're all invited for the swearing-in ceremony of our new police chief, which is on Monday, October the 16th, 10 a.m. here at City Hall. 10 a.m.? Thank you. 10 a.m., and please, you're all invited. We're expecting a couple hundred people here in attendance, so we're excited about it.
Councilman Toma.
I think staff already made the announcement, but to remind everyone that the Health Fitness Expo and Pumpkin Run is coming up on Saturday the 14th. The Fitness Expo starts as early as 6:30, goes from 6:30 to 10, is that correct? And then the 5K and 1K is a 1K for toddlers, I assume, children. And that starts at, I believe, 8 o'clock. And all the proceeds go to support our senior center, which we all value very much. So please come out for that, whether you can run, whether you want to walk, or whether you just want to cheer. Good cheerers are always very welcome at these kinds of events, too. So even if you can't do the run or the walk, please come out.
Also, we have another community meeting on the 12th. Nicole, would you like to give out the information, or Laura?
With regard to districting, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to remind the community that we have 2 upcoming districting meetings available for the community. That's going to be this Saturday, October 7th at 10 a.m. over at the Cameron Community Center. And then we also have another one on Thursday, October 12th at 6:30 p.m. over at the West Covina Senior Center. If you're not able to attend those meetings in person, remember these are meetings to provide your feedback regarding the draft district maps for city council districts here in West Covina. You can always provide your feedback online at westcovina.org/districts. You can also call our offices and provide your feedback, and you can email it or come in person. Thank you.
And can they still submit maps?
Most certainly, they can still submit maps. They can provide feedback and comments on the maps that have already been uploaded to the city's website, and they can come provide that feedback at those meetings.
Thank you. Any other comments? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Seeing no objections, this meeting's...
I object. I want to talk.
We'll object to that. This meeting's adjourned.